This is the Bosch GWS 9-115P angle grinder. I've muted out much of the audio in this video because it sounds something like this. We now have two of these grinders on site, so I thought I would give it a quick review, or should I say, I thought I'd show people how utterly useless the protection switch is and how difficult it makes this grinder to use. Firstly, the flex is great. It is very flexible, but the only problem is that it is incredibly short. As you can see, I normally plug the grinder into the 110 volt socket just to the left of this vise. I have never had a problem in over 10 years of grinding at this bench. Yet, for some reason, this grinder makes it very difficult, and now I have to use the 110 volt extension lead. I couldn't work out why it was so difficult to use this grinder, so I pulled the old grinder out of the scrap bin and put that down on the floor alongside the Bosch 110 volt drill. As you can see, the flex on the new grinder is considerably shorter than the flex on the drill. We will ignore the other grinder as that does not have the original flex fitted to it. But you can see that the flex on the grinder is about a metre shorter than the flex on the drill. This makes it very difficult to use and now means using the extension lead. If you are wondering how long the flex is, it is approximately 8 feet or 2.4 metres. This particular grinder is the 110 volt version, but it also comes in a 230 volt version. This is 900 watts and rotates at 11,500 RPM and accepts 115mm discs or 4.5 inch. This also has the regular M14 spindle. The side handle can be screwed into either side of the grinder, making it useful for left or right handed use. There is a spindle lock button which makes changing the discs easy. Simply press that in and it locks the spindle. Thankfully, Bosch have fitted an excellent guide to this grinder which can easily be adjusted by pressing in that little lever. You can then rotate the guide 360 degrees until you get it in the correct position. Thankfully, Bosch never fitted the bulletproof guide to this grinder, as that is the worst guide ever. The grinder itself is perfectly adequate and will cut and grind easily as you would expect from a grinder. The only problem with this grinder is the protection switch. I have searched the internet and it seems that this switch is designed with safety in mind. This is the old grinder which I have pulled out of the bin. To switch it on, you just push the switch forwards with your thumb and it stays on until you pull the switch back. The new protection switch is much larger, but you can only press it in if you pull down the little red lever in the centre. Then you have to hold the black bar in for as long as you want to use a grinder. If you are cutting something at a bench, this grinder might be the best design ever, but if you need to grind for long periods of time, this grinder is an absolute nightmare. Bear in mind that sometimes we need to grind on site for hours at a time. Normally when grinding, most people grab the side handle with one hand and then grip the body of the grinder on the back with the other hand. But with this grinder you cannot do that unless you have really long fingers. Here I'm starting the grinder and trying to hold the switch until my hand is in a comfortable position for grinding. As you can see, I cannot manage it even if I try to hold the switch with my thumb. To use this grinder you have to hold the switch hand in a very unnatural position, which for most people is incredibly awkward. I thought at one point it might be me, so I asked several other people on site, and out of about 10 people, there was just one person that said it was okay when you get used to it. The other people absolutely hate it, and as soon as I asked them, they said it was a pile of crap, with a couple of them saying it was dangerous. So if you're considering buying a Bosch grinder, I would highly recommend that you not get the one with the protection switch. Obviously, if you get one with the normal switch, you should get years of reliable use from it. If you have watched my video on the Bosch 18-volt grinder with the bullet-proof guard, you might now think that I enjoy bashing Bosch's products. But let's face it, the guard on that grinder is absolute garbage, just like the protection switch on this grinder. And by the way, this is the pin wrench that came with it, and that does not even have a hole in the end so that you can hang it up or cable tie it to the end of the flex. You can still get this grinder with the normal switch, and it is also much cheaper. If you look at the prices on eBay, you can see that the basic grinder is about £70 and the grinder with the protection switch is over £100.